Namaste, everyone. I'm going to give you a practice for removing the block that is preventing you from receiving your victory. So you're going to need, I have a pot, right? Because we're gonna put something on fire, right? So you're going to need a lighter, right? And you're going to need journal, right? And I'm going to show you, right, how to perform the ritual, and then you can do this on your own, okay? So for my journal, I contemplated, it took me about 15 minutes or so to contemplate and to journal out a block that I'm ready to release and remove, because this particular block was creating a lot of resistance and creating a lot of stubbornness and stagnation within me. So, in journaling it out, in setting it on fire, which we're going to do, right? I am desiring to move beyond this, right? To deconstruct this, right? So that I can open up myself to receiving more flow and more ease. So how you know that you're experiencing a block is that there is a lot of resistance around it, right? And the resistance can feel like stagnation. It can feel that you're just keep like a bull, because I'm a Taurus, so I'm a bull, right? I'll hit that wall until I knock it down, right? So Taurus is like, the hard way, right? It's the hard way that we always take, right? But we always get the job done, right? Even though it can be very, very exhausting, but we always get the job done, right? So I had that kind of natural Taurus kind of, stubbornness, where I'm just like, it has to be a certain way, right? Or I don't feel accomplished unless it's, it happens a certain way. But this particular resistance, stubbornness, or this particular like stagnation is causing pain, right? And a block, when it comes to manifestation, we can experience labor pains, right? As we are reprogramming our mind, reparenting our subconscious, and basically rewiring our whole capability and possibility, right? That's labor pain, where it's just like, you gotta breathe, and you just gotta kind of allow yourself to go through that. But then there's just pain where you know you deserve respect, right? You deserve fairness or justice. Because the one thing about labor pain is that when you go through it, and then, it moves through you, and you reap what you sow, right? That you have that baby, you conceive it, and it comes out. It always comes out. That's just how it is. But then there comes a point where it's just the pain, and then there's no fairness with it. There's no justice with it, right? It's just pain, and then pain, and then it almost takes from you, right? The cost of that kind of pain, it drains you, right? Or it really lowers your self-esteem, right? Or you feel like you're being disrespected, right? Or you just feel that you are not going anywhere with it, right? We all have that, where there's something we feel intuitively, but then it's just not going anywhere, and we feel very frustrated and stagnant with it. Now, when it comes to your manifestation, my manifestation, you have to feel into it, because I'm not going to know, right, what's going through with you, right? But overall, when it comes to this stubbornness, when it comes to this frustration and resistance, this is a great ritual to help us to let go, right? To help us to relax and to be more in a flow state and an easeful state, right? So, because when it comes to the breakthrough, right? The breakthrough that we want to have, right? The labor pain is something we all have to go through, right? Especially the bigger the expansion you want, the more, right, challenge you're going to be presented with, and the more that challenge is going to demand of you, right? So challenge will demand of you a lot, and it'll demand more and more of you as you continue to expand. So if you want to creatively expand a lot, you bet the challenges are going to ask demand of you more and more of your time, your energy, your focus, your dedication, right? But then there is the pain of that goes nowhere, right? And either that be in a relationship or be in a job, right? But we create fantasies, we create illusions, because that's just how we cope with things when we're stagnant, right? We create fantasies, we create illusions, right? And we can kind of play them out and play them out and play them out, right? But then there comes a point where when we kind of feel the burn of it, right? The burn of it, and when we play it out maybe for months, for years, and realize manifestation is a flow, it's easeful. It actually is, it's enjoyable. Manifestation is not, you go through the labor pain, but once you have that baby, you don't really think about the labor pain anymore. Ask any mother, really. You're just like, what was, yeah, that was, right? So there's something, it's enjoyable, right? Even though you're in the challenge that's very demanding of your time, your energy, your focus, your dedication, it's still enjoyable because there's this sense of fairness and there's a sense of justice, there's a sense of reciprocity, right? So when you feel just the pain, right, of a belief that you have about something, your manifestation, right, a belief you have that you've constructed in your mind and you've fed and fed and fed over months or years about a manifestation happening a certain way, or you becoming this certain person or having this certain thing at this certain time, right? And you fed that belief and you fed it and you fed it and you've really, really gotten comfy and cozy with it. But the great sort of dilemma that is very frustrating, it could be very frustrating, it makes you feel a lot of resistance and stubbornness, is that the divine, right, may have something that is a lot more easeful for us, that is more in alignment with the expansion that we have ignited within us. But since, a lot of us, it's almost like we're so used to being in the pain of not receiving, right? Being in the pain of working, right? Working it in, and not reaping, right? Because in our society, in this whole matrix, most of us are just used to working, like work, and don't get anything, right? And that's something I have within my own sort of, you could say subconscious as well as like past life and ancestral code, right? Is to work, and not receive anything, right? And a lot of you probably have that. We have that in our sort of the frameworks of our mind, right? So when it comes to the breakthrough, right, there's a period of receptivity. There's a period of vastness. There's a period of openness, right? Where there's this freedom that's guiding us, right? We've done the work. And then there's this freedom that's guiding us, right? So the stubbornness, the frustration, the resistance when it comes to this belief that we're attached to, could be a idea of a person, right? It could be an idea of of a particular career. It could just be an idea that you have about yourself, that you're pushing, and it's taking a toll on you. And it's that toll on you could be very costly. It could even just making you feel undeserving, right? Or making you feel unworthy. All these kinds of pains, right? When it comes to your manifestation, it should not make you feel whatever belief you have that you're pushing. If it's creating this resistance, right, where you're feeling this where you're trying to move it forward, but then you feel like it's pushing you back. You're trying to move forward, and it's pushing you back, right? There is most likely that belief needs to be deconstructed, and we need to go deeper. We need to deeper into our can say self-hypnosis, or deeper into self-psychology, right? So that we can really uncover a more easeful approach, a more easeful a belief, right? A more easeful approach, a more easeful belief, right? And I'll share with you kind of the belief that I've been harboring for months, for years, basically, that has been causing this deep pain. Not even a labor pain. Again, a labor pain is, yes, you're growing, you're evolving, you're developing, but it's like an enjoyment. And then there's this pain of work, not getting anything, right? Or pushing for a relationship and not getting anything, and feeling a disconnect or disruption or disrespect, right? And recognizing that the flow and the ease is what manifestation is, and if we can't be in that, it's going to be very hard for us to let it in, right? So if we think that this is the belief that, it has to be like this, or this is what I feel, so this is so true for me. If we're in a state of stubbornness, resistance, or a state of stagnation, or if we're just in a state of like imbalance, not imbalance, injustice or unfairness, right? With whatever it is, that's not going to create this sort of openness within us to allow something in, right? So we need to connect with an idea of ourselves that brings us fairness, that brings us justice, right? Or if we're going to just continue to play out this, unfairness and this injustice where we know this belief is just creating more and more upheaval, and not helping us to cut through the upheaval, just creating more a cost on ourselves, more of taking a toll on ourselves and making us feel really drained, or just just there's not much reciprocity in it. That's not going, that unfairness we feel in our gut that causes that sort of root frustration or anger or stagnation or purgatory we create with our in ourselves, is not going to give us the openness or the confidence or the grit or the self-respect we need to actually show up for the world and have that level of openness where something can come in. Right? If we're in a belief that's taking all our confidence away, that is making us feel drained all the time, that's just causing emotional just upheaval, right? Where we just feel like we're waiting around, or we just feel that it's making us imbalance. That means regardless of if that thing wants to come through or if it's not meant to come through, right? Or if it's divine timing or it's not divine time. We have to make sure that we are nurtured, that we're nourished, that we're receiving reciprocity. So if that person that we're have this major stagnation with, if we are going to continue to bring fairness to ourselves, it is a demand that we release that. It is a demand that we deconstruct that, right? Same thing goes with this belief regarding the career. If we know that it is this belief we have is not bringing this sense of fairness in us, the sense of justice within us, the sense of reciprocity, you bet we have to release this belief, right? We have to deconstruct it, right? So in our expansion, right? In our expansion, manifestation can be quite fast. And that's the thing, where we get so used to not getting what we want as human beings, right? We get so used to that because, we, in this matrix, we've all been kind of programmed to believe that we're not going to get what we want, or, we just have to work like dogs and then we'll get what we want. Trust me, I come from that sort of, Taurus kind of past life energy, right? So, and this is a practice that I'm doing with myself, and I'll share with you guys, right? So you can kind of get inspired to do your own. But yeah, manifestation can be quite, it can be quite energized, right? Manifestation doesn't have to be like this resistance or this constant frustration, this constant stubbornness. But we all of us have this programming that in order to manifest, we have to go through this great suffering or this great pain, or, we have to lose everything, or we have to completely just have something like awful happen to us, right? To actually be blessed, right? We all have that kind of programming, which is basically saying that we are not worthy or we're not good enough for manifestation to happen with flow or with ease. And that in order to be good enough, we have to prove ourselves. And a lot of times we prove ourselves through just dealing with beliefs that really we don't need. It's like unnecessary, right? Because if it's creating this unfairness or this injustice, all it is just going to keep us in this fear. It's going to keep us in this anxiety, and it's not going to open us up, because we're not going to have the confidence to open up. We're not going to have the grit to open up, because of that belief that's creating this major block from feeling fair inside, things being fair within. It's just going to cause a disruption, right? It's going to cause this, I shouldn't shine my light because I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy to, right? Because this belief's not working out for me, so that means maybe it's not meant to work out for me, everything, right? So that's what can happen when we really get into the frustration or the stagnation or the stubbornness within a belief regarding our manifestation, right? Or an idea that we indulge in. We indulge in these beliefs and ideas. We create fantasies. We create mental intrigues. We create all these illusions with it. And what happens is that basically what bounces back to us is just more of the same feeling of not getting what we want, right? Because in that belief where there's the frustration, the stagnation, the stubbornness, basically that relay we're having is, I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting what I want. So you bet, if that's what's going on, that belief will just continue to feed that. And that connection you have with that person or that job will continue just to feed that. And to the point where you'll get worn down. You'll just get worn down. And I've seen people, they just get worn down, right? And then manifestation becomes like years and years of this kind of dance they have with themselves, but still not getting anywhere, still not getting what they want. Right? So in this particular ritual, it's really something of an empowerment. It's something to really enliven your creativity, right? And give you that sort of expansion. Because life, we have 80 years on this planet, right? And there's meant to be great expansion within us, and there's meant to be great reciprocity within us, right? We're meant to experience great love. But again, the blocks we have are these beliefs that we keep to us, we keep holding on to, that again, it just creates this unfairness, right? It just creates this lack of reciprocity, right? And we know this belief is lacking something. We know this belief is not flowing. We know this belief, this idea, or this fantasy is not really reaping. It's not very fruitful for us. Because if it was reaping, if it was fruitful, we would feel well nourished by it. Not kind of like people feel left out in the cold, or people feel like just all they get is anxiety from it, all they get is depression from it, right? Right? But where we keep pushing and pushing in that, because we all have the program that's what it is. You just keep pushing and you get a little, and then you keep pushing, you get a little. Right? But I don't want you to just have a little. I do. If you want great love, true love, big love, you can have that. But we do need to let go of the belief that it creates this unfairness, this injustice, this lack of reciprocity, right? That's creating, it's costly on your energy, your time, it's exhausting you, it's making you feel stagnant, right? Months, years of stagnancy, it's a lot of frustration and a lot of stubbornness and a lot of resistance, right? It means that there is something better for you, right? That there's something that is more, there's something that is more respectable for you, right? Right? So let us kind of begin this ritual. So I'm going to read to you what I've journaled. Now this is my block. Now again, this is a contemplation, right? But for you, and when you do this on your own, I want you to ask yourself, first focus on an area. Don't focus on every area. I focused on love, right? I focused on the love area. You can focus on career, health, whatever it is, right? I focused on love. And what is a block that is preventing me from having reciprocity, right? From having fairness. So you should really be asking yourself, what is blocking my fairness, the fairness? Because everything you do, there should be a fairness, or there should be a pursuit of fairness, or there should be some sort of exchange of fairness, or you should feel that there is this expansion going on within you that's bringing more opportunity for you to experience your fairness, right? Right? So this is what I wrote, and I'll read this twice so you can kind of feel it in, and for those of you, this may also be healing for you, right? So I wrote it like this, and you can follow my format, right? I release unrequited love, unreciprocated love, and love that is not mutual. I desire love to flow easily and be received naturally. I am willing to let go of any or all connections that do not support or nurture me. I do not desire unexpressed love, mute love, or love that does not protect or cherish me. I shed pounds of frustration, anxiety participating in ungrounded connections that do not show up for me. I am worthy of a connection that offers me reciprocity, support, expressive love, and protection. I surrender this pattern of holding onto connections that give nothing to me, have me waiting around, keep me in the dark, and do not respect or honor my generosity. I remove this block that is preventing me from receiving a connection that is easeful and gives me reciprocity. So I'll read it again. But basically, for me, my block in love is that I indulge in unreciprocated love, right? Or basically a connection that is not showing up for me. And the way that I show up for them, I'm not getting that. And I kind of say to my belief, I say to myself, is they will eventually, right? So that's a block, right? Does that make you feel fair? Does that make you feel like just? Right? We know that, life is not fair and stuff like that, but in our own sort of expansion, manifestation is our sort of rule. It's our kingdom, it's our queendom. So you bet if we want it to be fair in love, we can make it happen, because this is our reality. Life out there may not be fair, but at least in here we can make it as fair as possible, right? When it comes to our manifestation. And that's kind of the goal when it comes to all our reprogramming and self-hypnosis and self-psychology that we do through Kundalini yoga, meditation, and other forms of deep deprogramming, deconstruction of the brain, and sort of repairing of the brain to be more natural with the alchemy of our higher self, right? So as long as, the more we make it fair and here, and just and here, and in the way that we're manifesting, you bet we'll have more of a fairness that we can build out there in the world, right? So I'll read this again. I release unrequited love, unreciprocated love, and love that is not mutual. I desire love to flow easily and be received naturally. I am willing to let go of any or all connections that do not support or nurture me. I do not desire unexpressed love, mute love, or love that does not protect or cherish me. I shed pounds of frustration, anxiety, participating in ungrounded connections that do not show up for me. I am worthy of a connection that offers me reciprocity, support, expressive love, and protection. I surrender this pattern of holding on to connections that give me nothing to me, have me waiting around, keep me in the dark, and do not respect or honor my generosity. I remove this block that is preventing me from receiving a connection that is easeful and gives me reciprocity. So and you'll look at it, the main sort of theme is ungrounded connections, right? That's a block for me, is engaging in ungrounded connections. And based on reading this, an ungrounded connection leaves me in the dark, has me waiting around, and it doesn't show up for me, right? It's wishy-washy, and it's just unrequited love where I'm not feeling really anything. I'm not getting anything from it, right? And this is my particular block that I probably got from, I got from childhood, as we all get these main blocks, deep ones, we get from childhood, where for me as a child, I have always been very generous. I've always been like a very like happy-go-lucky, I offer a lot to my friends, family. I give my heart and soul to everything. But as a child, the belief, the sort of the kind of relay that occurred in early childhood that begin to even occur now is offering and giving, shining my light, but not really being recognized for that, or not really having the sort of support of that, or the sort of the reciprocity of that, right? So I got very comfortable and used to being the generous one and just not expecting anything or not getting anything, right? And there's a humility to that, right? There's a, right? There's something positive and negative to everything. But when it comes to experiencing love, right, which a relationship is about reciprocity, that can cause a little of this unfairness within me to have so much generosity, right, and yet have an ungrounded connection that isn't expressing anything, right. So for me, in the whole deprogramming is recognizing that relay that I express so much, but then I almost expect to get nothing in return, right? Because of the childhood of expressing so much and not getting anything in return, kind of feeling that I still have. And this is also could be well as past life, right? So in the affirmation, my affirmation is reciprocity, right? A grounded connection that offers reciprocity. And really, when we state it as a demand, it's like stating that as, this is my fairness. And almost if you can't align with that fairness, if you can't offer that fairness as a connection or a partner, then it's not going to work. Right, because I don't want to participate in the relay of my childhood that left me feeling empty, or neglected, and left me, not really feeling supported. Right, it just kind of left me feeling just stagnant within myself, or stubborn, or just resistance, and then frustrated. Right, so grounded connection that offers reciprocity is my fairness. Right, it is my justice, right, to my childhood, to who I am right now. And when we really create that demand and really even express that with direction and with this clarity to ourselves and to other people, you bet, right, we're going to weed through what isn't going to offer that, and we're going to more likely, through manifestation, is more likely going to draw in what is actually going to nourish that, right? That's going to support that expansion that we desire. And any partner we have should support the expansion we want to have, the fairness and justice we want to create within ourselves. They should be supportive of that. And if they're not, then and there's just resistance and stubbornness and all that kind of thing, it's showing that we don't entirely believe the change we want to have, and we don't entirely believe that we're worthy or we're good enough, or that it's possible for us to have that change, right? From being, very generous and not really getting anything, to actually being generous and actually receiving many things, right? That's a different kind of, that's a change, just a big change. And the more that we indulge in connections that really keep us in the past, and then our past kind of pattern of that really doesn't bring expansion to our lives, that's just going to create more of this feeling of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, and this unfairness, and with that frustration, stagnation, stubbornness, or resistance. Because all we want is to expand, right? Expand our, our neurology and the sort of the setup. We want to expand our heart intelligence. We want to expand upon, our sexuality, our creativity, right? We want to expand our, beyond our subconscious patterning that is, sets us up to, programs us to think, believe, and feel according to past. In the past, right? We don't want to be the past. We want to be a futurist, right? We want to be a futurist, right? But we need that fairness and that fairness and that justice that we create through our manifestation to really become that prosperity, right? So whatever it is, so this belief that I have has me indulging or having fantasies or illusions about, ungrounded connections that take a lot of energy from me, that I give a lot to, but not get and don't expect anything, and just think that that's just what I deserve. But then feel at night this great injustice. Wait a minute, I give so much and I don't expect anything because I'm, unconditional love, I think to myself. But then why do I feel unfairness when I go to bed? It's because the God, the universe, my higher self is saying, no, wait a minute, you deserve, when you give, you deserve to have a grounded connection that is available to that and that can express gratitude or express feelings to you, right? So, and that is what you call this unconditional love, right? To feel even if that connection you give to, right? Regardless, the love you give and you don't get back or whatever it is, right? Don't expect anything in return kind of thing. Regardless, that unconditional love is you still reaping what you sow. May not be in that connection, but still just because that connection isn't, giving, that fairness doesn't mean that you don't deserve fairness, right? That's kind of unconditional love for self. So we can have that, and this is my own programming, right, of unconditional love, is to have so much, but understanding that just because I have unconditional love for people and I accept people as they are doesn't mean that I don't deserve my own connection that actually is going to give me the gratitude and the expressions of feelings that is really what I want. So you have to ask yourself, what do you really want? And in this, in what I've written, in the blockage is what I really desire is to have a grounded connection, somebody who's expressive, somebody who's supportive, because these are all things that I so yearn for and that bring great fairness to my life, but I have a relay since childhood that it's not possible, or I don't believe I can receive it, I don't think I'm good enough for it. So I kind of just, avoid it, or I just kind of skip over it, I don't pay attention that this grounded connection is repeating the past of feeling not supported and ungrounded and me waiting around and being, left out in the dark kind of thing, right? So in the justice and the fairness that we're responsible for our own fairness and justice, we may not be, we may not be able to control the fairness in our world, right? As we can try as much as we can, but at least we can create fairness in our own manifestations when it comes to our relationship and in our career sort of pathway, right? Again, because some people, they can get so much frustration, so much stubbornness, so much stagnation and resistance that they get so bitter by it and they get so mad, right? But they don't realize that belief was just something that was a block to their manifestation, and that all they really needed to do was recognize that belief that they have was bringing them the unfairness, not the fact that life is just the belief they were having was bringing them unfairness. Not the society, is more of the belief they had. And if they were willing to remove and to sort of deconstruct that belief and to review and to, expand in a little deeper, they would discover that their fairness was inside all along. And that's why people get really mad, because they don't have this sense of fairness within themselves. So fairness within, unfairness within, unfairness without just creates people who are mad, right? That feel like they're never getting what they want. Things are never happening for them, right? So this is an example of me facing this block, facing my resistance, my stubbornness, my stagnation, my frustration, and facing it head on and saying, okay, what is blocking me from receiving a loving connection. And I realize it is my relay since childhood of being super generous, being super expressive, being super, super like, giving, right? So much, right? And expecting not to get anything, not even a support, not even expression of love, not even reciprocity. And then I just have to put up with that because that's what I'm worthy, right? So that is a really, really, right? Doesn't that feel really, really unfair? But most of us, a lot of us have this, especially women. A lot of us have this, right? We're just meant to put up with unrequited love, right? And ungrounded connections that don't support or give us reciprocity, and then just feel good about that, right? It's just a belief that we have that we must deconstruct, right? So that we can have fairness. Because when you feel fairness inside, I mean, life might not be fair in the way, with women and men and ages and sexes and, the economy and religious, whatever. But at least when we feel fairness inside, we're better equipped to handle the unfairness out there, right? So we're more equipped to manifest balance within ourselves and balance in our relationships and careers, rather than when we have all this unfairness that's balled up and that's causing this feeling mad inside. You bet we're not going to be as equipped to bring balance to our career or our love relationship, because we don't even feel there's fair in just things inside of us, right? So read this one last time, and then I'm going to burn it, and then I'm going to just let it burn, and I'm just going to put it in my psyche that no, it's almost like saying a no, right? Burning it is saying a no, shedding it, burning it, right? I release unrequited love, unreciprocated love, and love that is not mutual. I desire love to flow easily and be received naturally. I am willing to let go of any or all connections that do not support or nurture me. I do not desire unexpressed love, mute love, or love that does not protect or cherish me. I shed pounds of frustration, anxiety, participating in ungrounded connections that do not show up for me. I am worthy of a connection that offers me reciprocity, support, expressive love, and protection. I surrender this pattern of holding onto connections that give nothing to me, have me waiting around, keep me in the dark, and do not respect or honor my generosity. I remove this block that is preventing me from receiving connection that is easeful and gives me reciprocity. So there it is. And just saying that, I feel like my consciousness is expanding beyond the previous limitations. I feel like I'm moving beyond the past, right? And the past cycle, the past relay of my childhood, and I really feel like I'm bringing fairness into my heart and fairness into my thinking. That we do want our thinking to bring fairness, right? So if your thinking feels like there's just a bunch of unfairness, you bet you gotta go to that belief and find what's bringing that frustration, stagnation, stubbornness, or resistance that's creating an unfairness in your thinking, such as, I give love, but I'm not, love doesn't give to me, or whatever it is, right? Career-wise, right? My talents aren't accepted in my career, or I'm not seen in my career, whatever it is. For my particular relay, as a child, I was not seen, or I didn't feel seen by men in my family. I didn't feel seen by men. So my sort of imbalance when it comes to manifestation of love is that I'm almost expecting a man not to see me, right? Because as a child, I was not seen. Right? I was not seen by my father or my grandfather or these type of men, right? So I'm almost expecting that I'm going to be this sweetheart kind of that I am as I was a child, this sweetheart, and not even be seen. And that creates this sort of deep pain, right, inside of me. Not a labor pain, but like a pain of like I'm unworthy kind of pain, right? Not a labor pain, I'm unworthy pain, right? And this is like bringing that fairness to me, like, wait a minute. I may have unconditional love for the men, the father figure, the patriarch, but doesn't mean that I don't deserve to be seen. Just because, I was never seen as a child doesn't mean that I don't deserve to be seen, right? Wait a minute, I want to be seen. And any man that doesn't bring me that fairness, he's not it. And it's just simple as that. But a lot of times we think, that it's just simple as that. He's not, I want to be seen and he's not seeing me, so he's not it, right? But what happens is that subconscious pattern of the childhood is so heavy that it takes multiple times of us saying that for like maybe 40 days or for a year of us saying that for us to, our subconscious to finally get it. Because our subconscious, when for example with mine, since it's the childhood subconscious is the heaviest programming, the deepest programming, a lot of times when you say something out loud that's a new idea, it doesn't connect. It's almost like your subconscious doesn't compute, it doesn't get it, right? So with me in this kind of revelation, this is something I have to recite for maybe 40 days or maybe for a year, right? Or recite it every day for as long as it takes for that inner little girl inside of me for it to click and for it to compute and for it to be like, okay, I understand. It's almost like when you're set in your ways, or when someone's set in their ways, they don't listen. It goes in one ear and goes out the other, right? Like talking to somebody who's set in their ways, it's like, hello, is somebody in there? Right? It's like the door's shut. And you're just like, hello, there's a better way, I can tell you, will you listen? And they're like, no listening, right? So the same thing with your subconscious, your little girl, your little boy, is that it can be like that. It can be set in its ways. It can be set in its belief, right? My little girl is set in the belief that, she gives love and she's a sweetheart, right? But she's unseen. Men don't look at her. Men don't see her, right? The father didn't see her. The grandfather didn't see her. So she's very set in that way of thinking that men don't see her, right? Men don't see that she's a sweetheart, right? So with me deconstructing that way, that kind of, fixed way of, viewing men and how they look at me as a woman, that's going to take me reciting this, right? Reciting this, I you know what, I deserve to be seen. Right? I have to keep reciting that until the little girl inside of me gets it. Until I start to see men looking, being seen. And once I start to see that men see me and men start to give me that support or give me, that grounded connection or start to give me that reciprocity, then I'm going to know that that little girl has been reprogrammed and that the ways of the little girl has been reprogrammed. So it's almost like look at you out in the world, and if you see, like if you really do this work and 40 days of reciting, for example, the fairness for me. Fairness for me is a connection that is grounded, that offers me reciprocity and expressive love. That's what's fair to me, right? Now, reciting that every day for 40 days is how we really get it, soak it in the subconscious, soak it in the mind. And when we start to go out, like if we're at a coffee shop or a restaurant or at work or whatever it is, and we start to see men begin to play that relay that we've been playing inside ourselves, they begin to act that out with us, then we know we're starting to change that little girl way of thinking, right? For example, men, the relay, I had with men, right, before I started doing this practice, little girl healing, basically is I would give and give, and they would totally be not even paying attention to me. But now what's going on, since I have been doing this steadily, is that I give and give as I've always given, right, as a sweetheart, and now I'm starting to, men notice me, they look at me closely, they offer things to me, right? Well, before, men, they wouldn't be offering anything because I was set in my ways that what was fair is that I give and be my sweetheart and have men not even look at me, not even respect it, not even give me anything, not even 2 cents, right? Because of my father and my grandfather, I didn't feel that they didn't give me anything. And I kind of carry that fixed way of thinking that that's what it's going to be like as an adult woman. right? But if that feels so unjust, and it's just pain, it's like the pain of like, this is what I'm worthy of? That's just simply your soul, your God, your higher self is saying, no, you need to expand. This is the past. This is not your future self. This is the past stuff where you come from. That's not who you're supposed to be. That's where you come from, but that's what you're meant to expand in this life. You're not meant to live in this lower past vibration. You're meant to expand beyond that, and you're meant you're meant to be the breakthrough that to your family, right? So I'm gonna burn this now. I'm gonna watch it burn, right? It's just exciting I used to burn things when I was a child. Yeah, I loved to do these kinds of things when I was young, right? And I just kind of watch it burn. Sometimes I even get like little twigs sometimes, and just like let it kind of just watch it. The letters. So for me, just looking at the journal, I can see what is important for me, just looking at the main words, the diction, and I can see grounded connection is important to me. Support is important to me.